yours from the movie Scarface, where his whole thing is the world is yours. He was sort of bluntly said the world is yours out there in the sky, and he looked at it as something from God, like, you know, telling him, you know, the world is yours. Hey, young world, the world is yours.
Yeah, it sounds like that.
The world is yours. Young world, the world is yours.
Sounds good.
Hey, young world, the world is yours. Hey, young world, the world is yours. Young world, the world is yours. Young people are so special. It's so good when God bless you. Deaf to unethical thoughts that suppress you. Like diseases, they conjure up inside a test tube to stress you. Bureaucratic genocide, but maybe I'm a recluse. It's just my observation as a whole. Human extermination, population control. Assuming my generation is young and out of control. But y'all don't understand this. Y'all out of touch and you're old. I promise you stay.
My generation is out of control. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, and this is the Urban Talk Radio 103.5 FM WNHH, when you will hear conversation, information, education, inspiration, and motivation from the American urban perspective. I am your host, Kingsley, Ossei, and my co-host, Shafiq. We are in the building, in the studio today. There will be no special guest, so there's going to be a good conversation between myself and my brother Shafiq. We have no idea of which direction this is going, but it's going to go somewhere, and he's probably going to need 3 cups of coffee by the time this show is over, or hit on my very last nerve I had left. Today on Urban Talk Radio, you can join the conversation on Facebook at BoldMinds and Twitter, also at BoldMinds. And also on my Facebook page, Kingsley, Ossei. You can also stream this show on your smartphone or computer by logging on to newhavenindependent.org. Man, hey, young world, the world is yours. In the background, you was listening to Young World, the remake of Slick Rick's Young World by my favorite artist, Nas. What's up, Shafiq?
What's up, man? I'm trying to, okay, maybe that's it. Trying to get a little, my sound a little muffled. How do I sound on your end?
Because I have my headpiece on, it sounds kind of, I don't know, you got to ask the producer, you got to ask Harry.
Do you have Bluetooth headphones on?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's what it is. The Bluetooth be mad sound muffled, man.
It's sounding muffled?
Yeah, the Bluetooth, but that's okay.
You know, Kingsley sounds muffled. Shafiq is in a little echo.
Got a little echo. Yeah.
You guys both have a little issue here, but go ahead.
You know what? I could keep mine off for now until I really need it. Let me see. Let me turn my Bluetooth off. Bluetooth off.
Yeah.
It's disconnected. So
oh, that sounds much better.
Sounds much better. My
yeah.
Nice check 1. My mic's nice check 2.
My echo's gonna be a little bit. I'm in my prayer. My wife made a prayer room in the house, so I got a prayer studio. I'm in the prayer room studio.
Hey, Shafiq, I heard you in the background complaining about Biden. I mean,
I never complained about Biden, but listen,
what's going on? The man is putting some legislative points on the board. I mean, come on, like, do you guys want this? Like, what you guys believe in? Somebody waving a wand is like, oh, everything is all good. Like, come on.
He just sent $674 million to Ukraine. And we got
how much student loan? And how much is student loan?
And we got 1/3 of America underwater flooding.
No, you see, that's the problem. We complain about everything. He do something domestically. Oh, why is he putting money on student loan? Trump give $1.9 trillion to tax cut for the rich folks. Oh, some people got problem with it, some people don't. We're gonna complain about everything, regardless. Money going to Ukraine, I'm not for it. But you know what? That's what do you call it? International issues. Whatever.
All I'm saying is this:
money going into student loan where it's trickling down to people in my community. I am all for it. We can talk about everything.
That little student loan money, that was peanuts, man.
I know it was peanuts, but I'm saying we can complain about.
That's my point.
I get tired about complaining, bro. Like, come on.
That's my point. It's the same conversation that we had, you know, when African Americans who are the descendants of slavery in America asked for reparations, and we discussed this reparation thing, and the conversation was, There's no money for reparations, but yet we gave everybody in America a check for nearly 2 years during the pandemic, including people who were already deceased. So, but we keep saying we have no money. We keep saying no money.
Are we going to keep complaining about things that are not under our control?
Yes.
Or we're going to look at the scale and say, you know what? Somebody's doing something over here for us. Somebody didn't. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm not in the 1%, bro. So all these crazy stuff going on this other side, I'm not for it, but I'm not playing the middle neither. Because I know who's got my interest and who don't.
Who has your interest?
You realize all these shooting that's been going on, all these police shooting that is back on the scene again. I've been sending you a few joints. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I watch. I keep up with them on a daily basis, but I'm also keeping up with all of our young brothers, which is our nephews and our young brothers and our black men that's out here gunning down black men. And I want to know where black fathers are. Where are the black fathers? Like real talk. Like I'm all for, and I don't want to use old phrase, I'm gonna be the first one and all that other stuff. But I've said this consistently for years. You go back and check any of my social media, anything I've said online. The number one thing that young black males need in America are their fathers. Now, I realize some fathers got wrongfully accused or whatever case might be, but you know what? A kid is a kid. They don't care what their father did. All they care about is that somebody love them and spend time with them. We're the black fathers. Why are we seeing 15-year-olds doing carjackings? Why are we seeing 15-year-olds shoot people at school? Why are we seeing all of this chaos and mayhem? Where are the black fathers? Where the black men at? To get their community under control. So we don't get our community under control. We don't want to take no responsibility for our children. And then when the police come into our neighborhood riding in, shooting people, we're surprised. Like, oh my God, the police shot us again. No, Sherlock, they've been doing it for 500 years, dude. So what are we gonna do? That's my thing. That's the conversation nobody wants to have right now. No one wants to talk about.
I'm always willing to have
black fathers, man.
I'm always willing to have the first part of your question because when we had what's his name here, Miss what was last week? What's her name? Miss TJ's mom. What's her name?
Oh, Barbara Fair.
Well, we had Miss Barbara Fair here, and she said, it bothers her or she hate when we talk about, we black folks got to take some type of responsibilities or whatever. She said, she didn't like, I'm not sure if that was the exact phrase,
right.
But
I think what she was saying, because I've heard her talk before, basically saying, don't let the argument be that we're in our situation because we didn't take responsibility. We do take responsibility, but as she often says, the system is stacked in a way for us to fail, right?
We gotta have the conversation.
So I'm acknowledging that. I'm acknowleding that. Yeah. But what pains me, what does absolutely pain me is, and you don't even have to like go around the nation. You could use New Haven. Go downtown on a Saturday night in New Haven. You'll see young kids down there partying. You'll see old school dudes like us down there too, right? But that's the only time you're going to kind of see that old school crowd of dudes in the community. Go down to Gulf Street Park, go to Bowling Field, go to different places. You see all of the brothers old school together. They drinking, they doing their thing. They vibing. And the problem is they're not showing up. They're not showing up on the political scene. They're not showing up to be a voice. They're not showing up to hold elected officials accountable. They're not showing up in editorials on the newspapers. They're just not showing up. And when you're not visible in your community as a stakeholder, and you have young children out here, young black men particularly, they need to see you in action, because that's modeling a behavior that they can then know what they need to do when they turn. What do I do when I turn 24 and the rent keeps going up? Or I turn 28 and the rent keeps going up? Or I turn 30 and the police keep shooting us? What should I do? We just can't take to the street all the time. There's a process that you need to go to fix the system, like other communities are doing. And it begins with us as fathers early on being engaged. And I challenge my brothers to that. People don't like it, whatever, but I challenge brothers to that. You got to be engaged with your kid. Try to meet them wherever you can find them. Meet them at their level. Because this is what I used to say as a cop. The reality of it is like this. Either you're going to get your kid under control or you leave them to the Russian roulette of the hands of law enforcement. And the law enforcement people is not your child's father. They have a job. They know exactly what their job is. And they have a set of boundaries and tools that come with that. So like, we used to say that, like, look, you can spank your child at home, or your child can catch you on the street with the police. And that's just what it's coming down to. I mean, like, who wants that? No one wants that. And I tell my kids that, you're going to get it right in the house because I'm not going to have you go outside the house for somebody to discipline you on something I should have disciplined you on. So that's really the short of it, right? Is discipline your kids so that they don't have to go out here. I mean, you just go watch a ton of New York videos out there, man. It's crazy. I mean, like 17-year-olds. As a matter of fact, yesterday, they call them juveniles because in the state of Connecticut, if you're under 21, you still could be under DCF care. Federal government says 18 and under, you're a juvenile. I'm almost sure it's 18 and under. And then New York there's certain juvenile laws. But nevertheless, these were allegedly all teenagers, 4 boys, I don't know their race, robbed somebody on one of the subway trains. The police were called. When the subway train got into the center, the police showed up to make the arrest, chased some of the boys. I think they wind up catching 3. One jumped off the platform, jumped down on the rail and got electrocuted. All teenage boys. It's like, what are y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
I'm smiling because Harry's face on the Zoom is intimidating me.
Oh man, yeah.
That picture is intimidating me.
Yeah. It's a commercial for something. I'll reserve my comment. But it looks like a commercial for something.
I feel like he's looking at me like he want to do something. Mm-hmm. Like one of the market people that ran up in the Capitol, like one of those.
Yeah. I feel like I want to put a circle around this picture that he's showing and a slash through it and says, no more January 6th.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, Shafiq, I agree on the front that look, my whole thing is, I said the fact that systemic racism exists, no instant buts about it. But the fact that those illegal guns are brought into our community don't mean that we have to use them. So this is where I will agree with you when you say where are the fathers. Okay, the fact that we my whole little argument, not it was an argument, but the point with that I disagree with Ms. Fair was that I said we can't continue to blame the white man for everything. Yes, we know what the white men do. The cops are shooting us in the back. That is not excusable because everybody deserves their day in court. Okay, we are not always a threat just because of our color or whatever, but the fact that they are bringing those guns into our community don't mean we have to use them. And that is the problem.
Yeah. The gun violence is just seems like it's a never-ending battle. But gun violence is not.
It's never ending.
Gun violence is not synonymous to our Black existence in modern day America. Gun violence was not an epidemic in the Black community in the 1960s. Or the 1950s or the 1940s, not even in the 1970s. Gun violence really did not pick up in America for Black communities until around 1986 with the introduction of crack rock cocaine, which we now know was purposely introduced into our communities for other geopolitical purposes outside the US. And as a result of that, the guns became a part of that behavior, right? That was even doubly fueled or codified or strengthened by Hollywood's purposeful, and I say purposeful, purposeful portrayal of drugs and guns, most notably Scarface, drugs and guns. But if you go back to some of the more famous movies that most all Black people love that grew up in our time, Godfather, 1, 2, and 3, but particularly Godfather 1, where they talk about, keep the drugs with the Blacks, keep it out of certain neighborhoods, but basically make sure it stays in the Black communities because they didn't want it in their communities, right? So even in those times of the Godfather, and you go back to those times, gun violence in the Black community still was not, you didn't have to worry about walking down the street and getting shot and all this other kind of stuff. It wasn't until around 1986 with the introduction of crack rock cocaine into our communities. And then those took a new spin with glamorizing it with New Jack City and Menace to Society and all the other Belly and all the other things that came around with that. And those were purposely done, right? So that you kind of like make this whole generation of people where it almost feels normal, right? Even as a cop. And, people are waking up to this a little bit and they're, like, yeah, where there's one, there's two. But all police officers in America till this moment, right now that I speak, of all of the thousands of police officers and academies around the country are being taught one specific rule when it comes to drugs: illegal narcotics, illegal drugs, and guns. When you go and search a car, if you find one gun, it's called the +1 rule. Know that there is another gun. Rule number 1 is if somebody has drugs, they automatically have a gun. So be looking for that gun. And obviously, again, you go back, and if you find one gun, you find 2 guns. And this is where we can't break the cycle from getting police off of basically the scent of African-American men, because they're trained, get those drugs, and don't forget, they got a gun. And they train us, the gun is because all drug dealers carry a gun to protect their drugs. That's the whole purpose of it. So that's this constant clash between the police and young Black men. It's gun and drugs, it's gun and drugs, it's gun and drugs. On the other end, there's the same thing as being fed to our young Black men. Yo, little, whatever. Here, that 8-ball. You need that 8-ball. How you gonna protect that 8-ball? You're gonna need something to protect the 8-ball because somebody's gonna steal your 8-ball, right? Once you break it down. Whether you rock it, you re-rock it, it don't matter. Somebody gotta protect you, gotta protect your 8-ball. So now maybe little dude got the 8-ball, he done broke it down. He ain't carrying a gun, but his boy gotta carry a gun because they just think in your mind, and that's how it just goes. It's crazy. But it really is, it's a displacement of where guns are in the culture of Black people. Because in the culture of mainly white people around the rest of the country, guns has a very distinct purpose. They use them for hunting, personal protection, target practice. I mean, you can go right now to Wallingford and they've got a shooting club for 6-year-olds for target practice. They got a high school shooting club for target practice. They got a girls shooting club for target practice. We don't have nothing like that in our culture, right? Because we kind of, as Black people, it's like, no, don't touch no gun. We don't buy a gun until our house got broken into. We're not buying a gun until after we got carjacked. We're not buying a gun until,
Are you basically advocating for more guns into our community? Is that what
I'm not, here's what I'm saying. I believe in the.
And why is the need for it in the second place?
And listen, what do you call it? Second Amendment? I don't believe in the Second Amendment.
We all believe in the Second Amendment, but why such a promotion for it? Why
I'm not promoting anything.
Why we can promote books?
I'm not promoting gun ownership, and I'm not promoting gun use.
You are a very smart guy. You are a law enforcement guy, but you could even fit in as you're not an educator. You just a coffeeologist that likes to read. However, why we can promote that? Why we can promote kids to read instead of promoting for them to have this piece of steel in their hand? Why? This Second Amendment, right? We want to wear it on our shoulders, and it's like it's everything. It means like, why is that supposed to mean everything? To each his own. I mean, if you are, if you're a gun.
Well, I would say line up the movies. Listen, let's line up the movies, right? So,
you're not in the South, bro.
I know, but they've done. Listen, I just go
in the Northeast, where it's, you know, we're not in the South. In the South, it's a way of life, and I understand. Midwest, whatever, it's a way of life that they were born into it. I understand, but over here in our Northeast, man, we are not hunting. We are, and
I'm a hunter.
We are hunting. What you go hunting on the American Parkway for deers?
Yes, absolutely. There's very specific areas where you can go hunting. Hunting is a sport. It's part of our culture. I'm a descendant of Native Americans. Hunting is part of my heritage. So, hunting, why take that right away? Why do you have to lose that right? And
nobody is, let's not get that confused, okay? Yeah. Look, nobody is out there trying to take your rights away. It's just that enough is enough.
But there's out there too, because no one in the African American community
now continue to make excuses about, we continue to make excuses. And the countries that did something about the problem have solutions now. They don't have the issues that we have. But all we keep doing is keep moving the goalposts, and it's just multiplying, bro. So something is just not right. We cannot continue to wave this flag of our Second Amendment rights, et cetera, and then our kids are getting killed every day. This crazy white nationalist people running up in churches and malls and schools, et cetera. It's got to stop sometime, bro.
So let me read this to you. So Black Americans have the highest growth in gun ownership. Although whites buy about 55% of firearm, gun purchases by Black African Americans.
That's because we got tired of those crazy white boys.
It's a Black African American rose 58.2% in the first half of 2020, according to the National Shooting Sports Foundation and trade groups of the firearm industry. So here's what I'm gonna say to you. No, I'm gonna say that Black people are not buying, necessarily buying guns because of the white supremacist groups. Black people appear to be buying guns because of the out of control violence that is taking place in the communities that they live in, which is often urban communities. So you look at places like Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, now even in Staten Island. You look at New Haven during the pandemic alone in New Haven. I'll give you an example. In 2019, New Haven had, I think it was something around 11 homicides. The following year, when the mayor switched over from Mayor Hart and the new mayor came in, we had 20 homicides. Then during the pandemic, we had another 25 homicides, which had been the highest level of homicides that we had seen. Probably, they were saying something like in about 25 years. So why are we seeing this explosion of gun violence in the Black community? We don't want to talk about that. So here's what's going to get political. We are seeing, from my professional opinion, we are seeing this new explosion of gun violence in the African American communities since the wake of George Floyd is due to the Democratic mayors who defunded the police. They did a knee-jerk reaction to trying to address police reform. I am for police reform.
Show me where police have been defunded in New Haven. Show me where police have been defunded.
The police got defunded in New Haven.
Show me where police have been defunded in Connecticut, bro.
They did. The police got defunded in Connecticut in 2019. The mayor took $3.9 million out of the police budget in 2019, took $3.9 million out.
How much overtime are they eating up out there, bro? How much overtime are some of these police officers eating up out there, bro?
You're missing the point.
I'm not going to take that as an excuse, but we're going to agree to disagree on that.
Right, but here's my point, Kingsley.
One thing I know is
Kingsley, you missed the point. The point is this: these mayors around the country, most of all of them Democrat, did some type, not all the mayors, but the ones that did, defunded the police.
So what about Texas? What about Texas?
They defunded the police in New York. They defunded the police in San Francisco. They defunded the police in Chicago. Lightfoot defunded the police. They defunded the police in New Haven. But check this out, and here's why. Go and see Mayor London Breed, who she just recently, early this year, did a fiery press conference in San Francisco and said that it was time to take the bullshit out of policing and politics and get back to basically old school policing is what she was saying. And so she was announcing that she was refunding the police. Just recently, Lori Lightfoot said that they were refunding the police. Even here in New Haven, I said in meetings last year with the New Haven mayor, where he said in a meeting where I was present with community leaders saying he would be refunding the police as a answer to the increase in crime.
Did they ship their money? Did they ship their funds somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know what the people do with the money because I don't control the budget.
The defunding the police is just the word that they are using, the ignorant, catchy phrase of what you know. Shafiq, you smart, you know what it is. Shafiq, come on, man.
Listen, here's what I know. Here's what I know what happened. Here's what I know what happened. Here's what I know what happened. Before the police got defunded,
you know what they're shifting the money for resources, so stop it, bro.
Here's what I know. Before the police got funded, less Black people were getting killed. Before the police got funded, less Black people were getting shot. Before the police got defunded, people felt safer walking down their street than have to be a Navy SEALs in order to get in their car and all this other stuff. Now you got just complete chaos in the entire country.
I disagree.
It's chaos.
That is you putting your Joe Manchin hat on, half in the closet Republican hat on.
I got Joe Manchin sun visor, thank you. I got a Joe Manchin sun visor.
Hey, it's not the problem of people buying guns. Okay, that is not a problem. It's how easy people are obtaining guns legally and illegally. So let's get that point straight. You know,
so you don't want people to buy guns?
I've been listening to you, and it's sounding like people got a problem with, you know, guns multiplying. It's how easy. I know you are opposed to gun control. That I do know. You are very firm on that. All right, but you can be opposed to gun control and at the same time come on the radio and complain about kids shooting each other in your community, bro. You can't have it both ways. I'm sorry.
So how do you get this? So how do you get the guns out of young people's hands?
Gun control. How easy is guns? How? You asking me how? You asking me how? It's in Congress. They're the ones making it easy for these gun manufacturers.
More gun control is not going to stop the illegal flow of guns on the street.
Okay.
Because the people
when you think you have that kind of answer and at the same time you asking for solution, you're in the wrong side, bro. Listen, because you can't have it both
gun
ways.
Control is not going to stop.
You cannot have it both ways, bro.
But here's what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Gun control will not stop
for quite some time.
Gun control will not stop the illegal flow of guns.
With that type of mentality, we will never get anywhere.
So let's look at
that is that firm Republican mentality of not wanting to do anything about the problem.
So look at what's going on.
Meanwhile, they are cashing into their pocket while the manufacturing companies, while the NRAs continue to cash in, while bodies are being dropped. And meanwhile, it's the same messaging. Gun control ain't gonna do anything. Gun control. Meanwhile, gun control is working in countries that did something about the problem. So why can't we?
So name a country. So let's talk about that country.
Germany don't have that problem.
Okay, Germany doesn't have gun control, but Germany has
Japan don't have that problem.
Japan
they did something about the problem and got a solution to it. So why we keep making excuses?
Okay.
We keep making excuses.
Japan don't have that problem.
We keep doing the same thing and want different results.
In Germany don't have that problem. Right?
I went to Germany when somebody ran up in Winnendale, small town in Winnendale at the school and killed, I think, 16 or 21 people. I can't remember the exact number. I went into that classroom and met up with the principal of where that thing happened. That is the last time they had an incident like that. We, in other words, are continuously having it over and over and over and over and over nonstop. And we keep talking about this will not solve the problem. This will not solve the problem. But meanwhile, we want a different results. How about that?
So in America right now, for every American household, there's roughly in circulation legally in circulation, roughly they say between 7 and 8 guns that can be outfitted to every American household. That's how many guns are currently legally owned in America. The number of illegal guns in America is unknown. The number of illegal guns in America, they can put estimates on it, but the number of illegally owned guns in America is unknown. So let's just use a theory. Let's just use a theory that we, starting tomorrow, they sign into executive order that they are going to ban no more guns in America. And they're going to start the process to disarm Americans, take their guns and collect them and so forth as a measure to reduce the amount of guns on the street. That will only reduce the legal gun owners. But the illegal gun purchasers, traffickers, distributors will still be out there with no mechanism to get them to give up their guns. So how does that reduce crime?
So you want to tell me that Congress cannot find a way to stop their flow? Or minimize their flow? Like we always talk about stop the violence, stop the violence, stop the violence. How can we stop the violence when the violence is being manufactured? You can't stop the violence when it's continuously, it's like trying to tell a plant to stop growing and you continue to water it.
Well, here's what I would say, because I would say, why don't we go to Congress and have them disclose all of the gun manufacturers or lobbyists or gun entities that the Democrats are also receiving contributions from too.
Hey, the numbers don't lie. We know who's getting money. That's like what's his name, Kristianna, getting money from all the drug companies and making sure that we cannot pass a bill to reduce prescription. He is the one lone Democrat who is standing in the way, and it was not a secret. If you follow politics and you follow the votes, you know who's standing in the way because of where their money is coming from. So, you hear these Republicans make complaint about gas price. And meanwhile, it's their own people that when you bring the energy company to Congress for scrutiny, they defend them. And meanwhile, their voters be the first ones out there complaining about everything. People are not following the votes, bro. People are not following the money. People are not following the votes and people are not following the money.
This is what I know. It's going to be very difficult at this point to try to disarm the United States of America.
Can we do
oh yeah, absolutely.
Can we do a station ID real quick? This is the Urban Talk Radio 103.5 FM WNHH. I am your host, Kingsley, Ossei, my co-host, Shafiq. And if you are just joining us today, you can join the conversation at Facebook at Bullmice, also at Twitter, Bullmice, and Facebook. On my Facebook page, Kingsley Ossei. You can also stream this show on your smartphone or computer by logging on to newhavenindependent.org. Today's show, we don't have a specific topic, but we are basically discussing
talking about protecting your guns. You trying to take my guns. You trying to take my guns, man.
We're talking about guns. We're talking about violence in our community. We're talking about police shooting. Black folks. In the back. Shafiq, I think I sent you this last week or so.
Always hype it up, man.
I sent
shooting
you
black people in the back.
I sent you the drive-by. Yeah, I sent you the drive-by shooting by the LAPD. Do you get a problem with that? Because you was once upon a time a police officer. Are you being offended by that?
Absolutely not.
They shot Jermaine Petit, a non-violent, unarmed man with known mental health issues. He was carrying a broken car part, which one officer identified as not a gun. I'm not sure if you did watch that video. They shot that man down like a turkey, like a wild turkey.
Where was this at?
This was in LA. This happened.
Yeah.
This happened last week, and I think I did.
Well, the sad thing about it is that it keeps happening And it's sad on both sides, right? So it's sad because.
Oh, are you going to say one of there is both sides? Yeah, the one of the Trump side.
No, not saying that. It's sad because
find people of both sides.
Here's why it's sad. It's sad because family members keep losing their lives, and every time they tweak the system to say it's getting better, then something else happened to show that it's still broke, right? However, what has definitely been happening more rapidly since the George Floyd has been the prosecution of police officers around these particular incidents that I would consider to be outrageous, right? You shooting somebody, the one where they shot the gentleman in Ohio like 96 times. I mean, like how? When they already had a history of shooting at a car with a white male and female in it, something like 150 times. So apparently these departments and the administration and the city entities are not learning from their original mistakes. And apparently nobody's learning from the $27 million lawsuit that Minneapolis had to eat as a result of George Floyd. So now money apparently is not a deterrent. Jail apparently does not become a deterrent. So what is the fixing point for this problem? And it's like one of those things. God forbid if your city gets sued for like $20 million and then you have a natural disaster on top of that messes with your city's economic index. You're broke and sued. So somebody has to pay closer attention to really how we're policing the communities, and particularly Black men. I said this before. American policing struggles to figure out the proper way to police Black men, Hispanic men, and poor people. And if we can figure that out, we would be definitely in a much better place than what we are now. But I want to talk about, you mentioned something about guns. I want to pull some gun violence, some gun stats, some gun data stats. The top US handgun importers in 2020 by number of guns were Thailand, 214,000 guns, Mexico, 55,000 handguns, Tunisia, 18,000 handguns, Brazil, 14,000, Saudi Arabia imported 12,000 handguns, Philippines imported 11,000 handguns, Oman, 10,000, Afghanistan, 7, Guatemala, 7, and Canada, 5. And these were guns that we shipped out of the United States to these companies. So not only do we are we gun suppliers of our own country, we actually export guns to other countries. And this is, we are a gun nation. There is undeniable. We are actually a gun nation. And it's just, I don't know if that ever is going to stop. We make too much money off guns. The majority of experts of all handguns, including revolvers and pistols in 2020, 54% of revenue can be attributed to Sig Sauer in New Hampshire. Another 28 million, nearly 15% of handgun export revenues can be attributed to Glock in Georgia, while handguns value at $12.7 million were exported from Missouri, probably most of all from Smith & Wesson. So we are the largest handgun exporter in the world. And it comes from roughly in America, 3 companies, Sig Sauer, Glock, and Smith & Wesson. Those are legally exported guns. And I can tell you, just looking at the numbers, trying to use my my computer brain math, you're talking about somewhere up in the area shy of what looks to be 500,000 guns, handguns alone, we export on average a year to other countries. So when do the guns stop? And when you look at a country like, let's just say Mexico, in Mexico, we export 55,736 handguns roughly every year. 55,000 guns go over the border to Mexico every year. What is our biggest problem between the US and the American border outside of the illegal immigration dilemma that's over there? Is guns and drugs. So we export guns to Mexico. They show back up on our American streets, right? Attached to a bundle of drugs or just some type of drug. How do we get guns out of the hands of people? How? In America. And how do we get, as they would say, good, honest, hardworking, follow the law, American citizens, work hard every day, part of their constitutional right, like voting, like freedom of speech, right? Like the right to live wherever they want. Why are we going to shave down that? I don't know. I don't know. You know, like the guy said in Montana, they use their guns to eat. That's how they eat every day. In New York, maybe you're doing something different. But you gotta protect yourself. I don't know. What you think? Would you ever own a gun? Do you own a gun?
Nah, because I'm not a gun. You know, it's not my interest. You
That's
know,
fine.
For me, it's not. I'm a man of faith, and I feel like, you know.
Do you watch movies where people use guns in the movie?
Just listen to me for a minute. I'm a man of faith, so I feel like, you know what? If somebody walk up to you with a gun and you got a gun and he got you first, there's nothing you can do about it. What kills me is when people say, "Oh, the government is coming, so I want to have guns." Come on, are you serious? How much guns can you use to protect yourself from the government coming at you?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a few people. I don't think that's the average.
Shafiq, people really, especially people on the extreme right, that is the whole thing.
Keyword is extreme.
Government. Okay, so
keyword is extreme.
And the extremism is the reason why people are buying guns. People are buying guns for the fear of the rhetoric from extremism. Not everybody, but check it out. Let me post this thing real quick. Let me see what I have here. So what you are looking at on the screen, I was telling you about my trip to Germany in 2014, and I'm gonna read it. It's basically saying there was in 2009 a student went into a school at Winnenden, Germany, and killed 15 students and a couple of teachers, which was similar to the Sandy Hook. I said I also brought along a letter from Sandy Hook, Newtown. I brought an artist there to perform. So I had an invitation from there. And over here on the right side of the picture, what you are looking at was a letter that I brought from Sandy Hook to give to the principal of the school. But like I said, from then and now, Germany have really tightened up their gun violence issues. What have we done since Sandy Hook? This was their Sandy Hook moment back in 2014 in the very small town called Winnenden. That was their Sandy Hook back then.
But even the Congress said that. Congress just recently said it again. They said, listen, if we was not willing, our moment to make a real impact on gun control in America was during the aftermath of Sandy Hook. And the fact that that did not happen the way it happened sent a very strong message on terms of how we feel about children and safety and the safety of children in America. And since that time, you know, the Democrats have been in charge, right? So even the Democrats that were up there at the Senate and at the Congress, even they did not have the will in order to pass this sweeping national gun legislation. So when does it happen?
They don't have the votes, Shafiq. They don't have the votes.
They had the votes.
Shafiq, certain things have to be bipartisan. Shafiq, there we go again. There we go. No,
the bipartisan. You know what that sound is? Shafiq, that's the bipartisan plan.
Gun control issues have to be bipartisan. They do
the
not
bipartisan plane is landed.
Stop it. Anyway, Biden did put a lot of scores on the board. You wouldn't like it, but he did. Legislatively, he has more than most presidents have. So, you know, we can do the yada. Yeah, he was down for a minute, but, you know, We got a party that do not want to be a part of the solving the problem. They said they want to take over so they could start investigating people just for the heck of it. Now, let's be real. My whole thing, we're talking about voter education. We're talking about voter education. When you got a candidate who doesn't want to debate, they don't want to tell you why you should vote for them. They're basically telling you that vote me in, because if I go in, I'm going berserk just investigating everybody. How does that pay any of your bills? How does that pay your student loan? How does that pay your mortgage? How does that fill your gas tank? You got to be one of the most stupidest voters to really go to the poll and vote for a candidate just because that candidate said, if I get in, I'm investigating everybody. That's for the heck of it.
So we probably got about 7 minutes. Let me ask you this question. Is the next president going to be Republican or Democrat?
We hope it's not a Republican.
No. We're not talking about, I'm asking you.
I don't know. I don't know.
Who do you think?
You know what? This is why it's going backward. This is why it's going backward. Historically, the party in power is supposed to lose both houses. And it was supposed to be a red wave. It's going backwards right now. And you know why it's going backwards? Because I think the independents and even some of the Republicans are coming to their senses and saying, you know what? This is a country who are suffering economically, just coming out of a recession from COVID-19, from a pandemic. But meanwhile, there is a party that is not addressing no issues at all. A party that have been hijacked by the man who's got like 1 million investigations going on, election deniers, all this stuff are real, bro. These issues are real. And, you know, we say all politics are local.
You're being a politician right now. You didn't answer. It's a yes. You're being a politician.
I'm not being a politician.
I'm
not a politician, bro.
Do you think the next president of the United States of America will be Democrat or Republican?
There is a difference between being a politician and being engaged, knowing who got your best interest and who don't. And when I say best interest, I mean at least at its minimum. I know legislation that have been passed with money trickling down to my community somewhere now. And I know people that voted no for every legislation that was passed for money that's supposed to be coming. All that little pork they be putting in there, everybody does that.
Maybe I asked the question wrong. Do you think the American voters will vote in another Democratic president?
They will what?
Do you think that the American voters will vote in another Democratic president?
If they don't vote for a Democratic president, that's just because they're being, you know, like I said, if you have a voter who is not concerned about you,
do you think on the next election that American voters will vote for another Democratic president?
So listen to me, I'm trying to give you the answer, and I'm trying to give you the answer very fairly. How you going to vote is on you. But for me personally, if you can't tell me why I should vote for you, that's a problem, because right now I know that there's a Republican Party who have a platform, no platform of telling their voters what they're going to do. When the last time you ever seen Trump do a rally and tell anybody what he's going to do for the country, rather than attacks, and who he's going to? This man just said that he's going to pardon everybody that was involved with the January 6th insurrection. How is that? How do you vote for a president that says that vote me in just so that I could pardon the criminals that are trying to take over the government?
So are you saying that the next president of the United States is likely to be a Republican?
It's likely what?
To be a Republican.
No, I'm not saying that. I can't tell you what the Americans, I know individually how I feel. I can't tell you about the American people's attention span, because what I could see is Republicans really, well, like Trump said, I'm not going to re-quote what he said, but it appears that they are calculated. That, you have Lindsey Graham say some stupid stuff every single day. You have Cruz say stupid stuff every day. And people just know that tomorrow you forget about it. I could say anything today, by election time, you forgot about everything.
So who do you think is going to be the Democratic presidential hopeful?
We don't know. It's going to be determined by the
who do you think? Who would you like to see?
Who do I think? I hope that it's not Joe Biden. That's first of all.
What?
You know what? Let me tell you
You
something.
don't want
No, let me tell you something.
President Biden?
Let me tell you
Are
something.
you anti-President Biden? Wow,
I am
dude.
not the biggest Joe Biden
Shame.
cheerleader. Let me tell you something. Hold up, Shafiq.
Shame,
Hold up.
shame.
I think you could rewind. You could rewind a lot of stuff on this show. I'm not the biggest Joe Biden cheerleader. I am the anti-Trump guy. That I'm like, you know what? Anybody but Trump. And it happened to be Joe Biden against
Vice President Kamala Harris.
All I'm saying is, I hope that there is somebody young.
Vice President Kamala Harris.
I don't know. I'm just saying I hope there's somebody
Who
young.
would you like to see?
We don't know.
Okay, let's play fantasy football.
I like, okay,
Listen,
so
let's play fantasy football.
Let me say this. Let me say
You always
this.
want me to tell stuff straight, and you dancing around this.
Let me say this. Republicans shut down debates. They said they do not want to debate. Republicans shut down debates going into elections. Democrats, even though they're going to beat each other down, they would rather debate and come up with their nominee. That's the difference between those two parties. And Shafiq, you was just a public official not too long ago until you give up your seat.
Yes.
All right. So for you to become, the alderman, I hope that you went out there and told people what you were going to do for them, and they actually voted for you because of that, right or wrong?
Correct. That's correct.
I hope that's what you did.
That's correct.
And that is not what's going on with the Republican Party.
Okay.
When you are just opposing your way all the way to get elected, I'm sorry, bro.
So can we do this for a minute? Because I see this is kind of hard for you.
Say it again.
Can we do this for a second? Because it's kind of hard for you. Let's play fantasy.
Why is it hard? Because I can't. Why is it hard? Because I don't know who's going to be our nominee for. I don't know, because they got it. For me, I feel like
let's play fantasy. Let's play fantasy politics. This is hard for you right now.
It is not hard. I answered you. You want me come to you want me come on top of my head and tell you, oh, Trump, I want Trump to be our nominee. No matter how ignorant he is, he should be our nominee. No.
I didn't say nobody nominee. Here's what I'm gonna tell you. I tell you what I believe. They trying to get former President Trump. They trying to zing him on some kind of case.
Hold on. I think we should end this show right now. You said they're trying, like he's
they're trying. Listen,
like his allegations are not legitimate.
No, what I'm saying is that
hold up. Is his allegations legitimate or not?
They're allegations.
Are they legitimate or not?
They're allegations.
Shafiq, you was a law enforcement officer. You know FBI do not come after you unless
That's right. It's called probable cause.
When we're from in the streets, when you hear the word FBI, you like, you know what, let me come on.
FBI don't mean the same thing to black people that it mean to ex-presidents, dude. Okay. So, it's like the rap song about the presidents to represent me.
Exactly.
Yes, about the presidents to represent me.
So if FBI can easily come after us, you know that it took a lot for them to go after an ex-president. You should know that.
You can't
apply the same thing. You want to be for that man. You should know that.
So right now it looks like he's not getting prosecuted. Okay, right now in this moment, which would still make him eligible for a presidential run. Even if he does not run for president, the amount of political power that he has and has been showing leads the average political to believe that whoever the Republican nominee is that he gets behind will be fired, will be straight fired. So you got Pence, you got DeSantis likely, right? You got Pence, DeSantis, and you have Dick Cheney's daughter.
Election deniers. People
those
that
are three. Those are three.
You got all these people that do not believe.
So would you vote for Liz Cheney if she ran, even though she's a Republican? Would you vote for her?
Liz Cheney is a 99% conservative. Just because she lived on principles and saying that I'm not going to be following I'm not going to be a cult. Don't make her a Democrat. Okay, she chose not to be a cult. That's it.
All right. So Republicans sound like they got three strong candidates.
Who are election deniers?
DeSantis, former President Trump, and Liz Cheney. Oh, and Pence. They got four rock solid. And then they've got the governor of Texas, who's kind of like, he's in the upcoming. So they can potentially put together a field of about 5 to 6 strong candidates.
And what platform are these people running on?
Doesn't matter. They got 5.
I'm just saying for the average person who really is engaged in
they're gonna run on safe. They're gonna run on the safe country.
They're running on no damn safety. You know what? Let's close this show right now. This is the Urban Talk Radio 102. Safety. They can't even spell safety. These people got their crazy.
I want to give him a hug. I'm hugging you, Kingsley. I want to give him a hug. He is so upset. He is so upset right now.
Did he just say safety? The people,
safety, dude.
The people
law and order. Okay, law and order.
Hold up. The people defending January 6th insurrectionists are running on safety.
They're gonna run on law and order, bro.
Okay, this is the Urban Talk Radio 102.5 FM WNHHLP. I am your host, Kingsley.
Kingsley.
Us in the last part of our show, you can follow the conversation.
You're already off the radio, but Kingsley, weren't you an election denier in 2016? Kingsley, did you deny the election in 2016?
Still on Facebook Live anyway. I believe so.
No, hold on. Weren't you an election denier in 2016?
Look, man, I am out, bro.
Kingsley, were you not an election denier? So you can't be trusted, right? You can't be trusted, Kingsley. You can't be trusted, Kingsley. You're an election denier. So was all the Democrats. So was CNN, your news source.
Next week, I'm out.
See you.